Did you know that there's Harvard graduates that are having trouble finding work? People that graduated from Harvard, you know, people that have access to all types of resource revenues and connections that we don't. You know, that goes to show you how this society doesn't give a damn about people that follow the rules or people that don't follow the rules, because how many drug dealers do you know or have known or ever been around? How many people do illegal, illicit activities, yet they're never caught? Or if they do get caught, it's a slap on the wrist. And unless they do something really egregious and really messed up and really brutal, then they'll be punished. But you can be somebody going to school, going to Harvard, you know, maintaining a good GPA, staying out of trouble, staying away from drugs and alcohol and all that. And what does life give you in the end for all that hard work and all that misery you had to endure? A middle finger right up your rear. What does that tell? What does that tell you about society? And what does that tell us about this generation that has to inherit this next world? This world where you're faced with destruction. You're faced with loneliness and isolation, man. How do we cope nowadays? I wonder. I wonder how the millions of men around the world cope. Never, never going to be husbands. Never going to be fathers. Never going to be millionaires. Never going to be the people that people look up to and say, hey, I want to be that guy. I wish that was me. Instead, people look at your life, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's strangers on the street that just take one look at you, and they automatically point at you and say, that's the guy I do not want to be in life. I don't want to be that guy. They look at the guy who works in the office cubicle. He has a car. He may have his own apartment. He gets paid every day or every week. And he gets paid Friday, and then by Saturday morning, he's broke because of all the bills and everything that gets automatically taken from his check, plus taxes. And if he has any baby mamas, the money's going to get cut from that. So we live in this cycle where you're always going to be you're always going to be under some immense pain. There's always going to be something that's rattling your brain, something that's going to be confusing to you, something that is going to break you down. And you need a woman in your life, man. I don't care what anybody says. Don't listen to these people talking about, oh man, you are what you believe. Well, I believe I'm a multi-millionaire famous rapper. That's what I truly believe in all of my heart of hearts. And what's crazy is that even though I only got 1,000 subscribers on this channel, my last one was a lot bigger, right? On this channel, it's like I feel more like, I don't know, bro. Even though I get less views now and people still don't know I have a new channel up, I'm more famous than I've ever been. I should tell you some of the people that hit me up in the email, but I'm way more private with the things I discuss, because, yeah. But there's people that have 100,000 subscribers plus. I think I told you guys this on my last channel. People, big YouTubers, 100,000, 200,000. Hell, one guy even 300,000, subs. These are the type of people that be watching my content on the low. And I'm like, damn, if I'm able to garner people like that, wow, that's pretty cool. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because these are just numbers on the screen, And these numbers on the screen don't translate to green. Can you imagine if I got paid for every single view that I had? That I had on my last channel, and every view that I got paid right now. Imagine if one view paid $1. I bet everybody be starting a fucking YouTube channel. That just shows you how broken the system is, man, where everybody's willing to do anything to survive. What world are we leaving the children? What world are we leaving the future? The children are the future, and the children are being brainwashed, and they're being indoctrinated with artificial intelligence. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I was talking to this one guy, whatever, and he was telling me about his little brother or whatever, how I think they're like barely 10 years old or something like that, but they be having these little apps on these iPads in school. Some of them have like hologram shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like touchscreen stuff. And I'm just like, when I was a kid, back in the 90s, bruh, all that touchscreen shit was science fiction or top secret classified military, weaponry. It wasn't like for the public. It's kind of like how the internet was started. The internet originally was called DARPANET. And DARPANet was only to be utilized by official military communications. Pretty much, it was like an internet for the military. And then they expanded it to control the population because now if they make social media popular, then they can make the idiots on social media popular. That's why you have all these live streamers and these people doing weird shit and they're millionaires. They get $20 million a month. And you're like, how the hell is he making that much money? You're making hundreds of millions a year off of being a fool on camera. That's done deliberately. They want you to look at your life and you see all the hard work you do. You go into your 9 to 5 every day. You're trying to maintain. You're trying to do the right things. You're saving up. You're trying to, you're trying to go somewhere in life, quote unquote. And the system's designed to break you and oppress you. The system's not designed for people that follow the rules. The system's designed for rule breakers. Am I wrong? Look at everybody who broke the rules that you know of. Are they not living a better life than you are? I know people who cheated. Like I literally seen these people in class cheating. Like they'll bring like a little cheat sheet in class, and the teacher be looking and watching me, and all the people that look like me. Meanwhile, the homie Cody, you know what I mean? He's sitting there like underneath his little jacket, and his little hand, he's pulling out the little answers to the test. I'm just like, wow. Like this life trains certain people to like stay in your place. Certain people are reminded of their condition. They're reminded of their ailments. They're reminded that they're nothing. But I want you to believe something about yourself. Just because the world says you're nothing, just because the world says you're a loser, it doesn't mean you are. What if the God of this world is just a loser and we're the winners? What if you're not a loser? What if in another environment, you're actually somebody that's highly capable, highly social, that gets the ladies, that has the talent, that has all the attributes for success. But in this world that we currently find ourselves in, it's damn near impossible to become successful without having help or having somebody put you on or having some type of reptilian fallen angel bloodline that leads you to the bankers and the people that run a certain nation that we can't speak of because when you speak on them, they control everything, But let's just say that sheikos are involved, and that's all I got to say on that. But can you imagine the next generation of men after us? They're going to be sexless. They're going to be jobless. They're going to be kicked out. They're going to be homeless. They're going to be able to just, you gotta get your shit together. You gotta figure it out. Just figure it out. And the messed up thing about it is if those kids ever figure it out and start streaming for a living and making lots of money, watch how the people that shitted on them are going to come back. The people that kicked them out, the people that disrespected them, the people that didn't even think about them. Watch those same people, all of a sudden try to come their ass back around. Let me tell you something. When people do you wrong in life, especially when you're in your weakest part of life, and they do you wrong when they didn't have to do you wrong, but they chose to, that person just showed you who they really are. Never let anybody who's disrespected you, who's insulted you, who's talked about you, who's shitted on you, who showed you their contempt towards you to your face. You don't ever have to acknowledge that person again, especially as a grown man. You don't need that person in your life. That person is an energy vampire. It doesn't matter if it's family. It doesn't matter if it's your best friend. You got to cut those ninjas off, like a karate class. Just karate chop them off because you don't need them. You don't need that mess in your life.